So to introduce myself very briefly, I'm Emma Cole. I'm a product marketing manager at Miracle, and Miracle is the behind the scenes powering the enterprise marketplaces that are driving the marketplace landscape today. So we all know that e-commerce has had a bit of a crazy time since 2020, and that rate of growth that we've seen has really continued into 2021. But one thing that we don't talk about so much is how much of that growth has really not just come from e-commerce as a whole, but marketplaces are really driving a significant part of that growth. And where a lot of that growth is coming from dominant players like Amazon, Etsy, Zalando, eBay, the fastest rate of growth is actually coming from enterprise marketplaces. So those marketplaces that are owned and operated by some of the best known retailers and those brands and names that have lived on our high streets for many years. And zooming into the UK market, we see more and more marketplaces asserting a position, including names that we know like Wayfair, Dunelm, Feel Unique, H&M Home, and Secret Sales. And the key to understanding where all this growth is coming from lies in looking at consumer behavior. And it's becoming ever more clear that consumers don't just shop on marketplaces because they're there, but they seek them out. They truly prefer them. In the State of Online Marketplaces Adoption Report, a new consumer survey that come from Miracle, we see that British shoppers are clear in their preference for online marketplaces. And they see marketplaces as better positioned to meet their needs and can be the most convenient way to shop. And so what is kind of the root of this convenient and elevated way to shop? Well, we know that the key to appealing to customers is the ability to build a compelling and differentiated assortment, and one that can satisfy the changing, constantly evolving needs and desires of existing customers and target customers too. And marketplaces achieve this by partnering with hundreds or even thousands of third-party sellers and brands, sellers who can offer a broad and diverse assortment, a superior customer care experience, and the ability to onboard and start selling quickly and that really have agility at their core. And of course, the benefits of these partnerships between the sellers and marketplaces are a huge benefit to the operator of the marketplace, but also a huge benefit to the seller's business themselves. And at Miracle, we have over 50,000 sellers in our ecosystem, and we know well that building a multi-marketplace business with enterprise marketplaces can deliver significant business value. So the ability to grow GMV, expand into new territories, increase brand awareness, the opportunity for sellers is very clear. And one such seller who's with us today is Robin, CEO of WhatShop. WhatShop have been partnering with enterprise marketplaces and building out a multi-marketplace business with Miracle marketplaces and other marketplaces throughout the UK and Europe as well. So I'll hand over to Robin to hear a bit more about the journey that WhatShop has been going on and their marketplace strategy and how it's evolving as they move forward.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everybody. So Robin Phillips, I've been running WhatShop for 3.5 years now. It's a pure play. We're the largest online player in our category in the UK. We were part of the Watches of Switzerland group, but we've just been recently acquired by JD Sports. So we're now part of what you might call another large conglomerate of retailers, which may become consumer-facing marketplace of sorts in time. I'm a bit of a veteran these days, as you can see. So been doing online for over 15 years now. John Lewis, Waitrose, Boots, and now running WhatShop. And what I've seen in that time is an aggregation of websites and a requirement to partner, really. So we very much think of ourselves as the specialist in this area. We've got the most brands, we've got the most authority in our category, and we've got the largest website, but even so, that still means that there's a lot of customers that we couldn't reach on our own. And so the number one reason for our marketplace strategy is to, from a customer point of view, reach customers that we might not otherwise reach from the likes of Marks and Spencer and Debenhams. And that's certainly the case with JD Sports. We'll provide a category they don't currently have for their websites in the UK, Europe, and eventually globally. And it's a two-way thing. So it takes a long time to get the expertise and the relationships that we've got with all of our watch brand partners to get the ranges that we have and to get a market-leading proposition. But what it does mean is that having done that, we can then, through a facilitator like Miracle, is we can very easily plug that into somebody else's website. So we've done that with Debenhams as they relaunched on Boohoo, which was the start of our journey with Miracle. And two of the retailers that we're working with that I think probably going to become Miracle partners. So for us, it's a bit of a no-brainer to work with Miracle as a global partner to become the #1 provider for an accessories category, including watches and jewelry, etc., for the largest marketplaces in the UK, in Europe, and the world. Because as you can see from that previous graph, that's where customers increasingly expect to see you and expect to shop. There we go.
Fantastic, Robin. That's really, really interesting. So you've mentioned a number of marketplaces that you're partnering with. That many people don't even realise are marketplaces.
Yeah.
So what made you first look at becoming a seller on enterprise marketplaces, rather than just the more normal ones that everyone hears about, like Amazon, eBay, Frugo, etc.? What made you look at enterprise marketplaces as the place to go?
Sure. So we've worked with Amazon for a long time. So we've got, as well as our UK website, we've got our own websites in the EU. But from an economic point of view, particularly in territorial in the EU, quite expensive to do your own above line awareness, marketing, etc. And so if you can leverage somebody else's website and somebody else's marketing and customer database, it's an efficient way to reach a lot of customers that you would otherwise have to reach yourself very expensively, and probably couldn't get that reach.
And do you find that these customers are loyal to the marketplace that they're shopping on, or do they become customers on your own website in the future? Is it a totally different customer set that just likes the experience of shopping on the enterprise marketplace, or are they customers that may transfer to you?
They're marketplace customers, and we're very clear about that. So with our own marketing, we're very clear about our customer funnel and how we deploy our spend. So we put a lot of our marketing budget into paid channels, paid digital marketing, paid social, etc. When we work with the marketplace, we don't do any of that. They're doing that. They're attracting their customer to that site. What we make sure we do is have a great proposition, but we have appropriate placement on the third-party marketplace or retailer site so that it's very clear how you'd shop the category. We join in with that retailers, that marketplace's promotional cycles and their events, and we make sure that we've got product for their events, not necessarily our events on our own site. And we put together sort of multi-marketing campaigns across what the website looks like, and in particular how we work with CRM and their loyalty basis. So the retailers on the right have got millions and millions of very loyal customers who signed up to those retailers and brands loyalty schemes, and so we talk to their customers through them. They're not our customer, they're their marketplace customer.
And that's great, because it does mean it's a totally different customer set to those that you're paying to attract you to your own website. But I'm quite interested. You're working with quite a range of enterprise marketplaces. how do you find the right marketplace that best fits your business? And I think this is really, really important, because the one message I keep hearing from retailers is that it's a heck of a lot of work to sign up to a new marketplace. I mean, the signing up takes 2 minutes. You sign on the dotted line and it's done. You open an account. But actually integrating them, doing all of the work, as you've said, to synchronize with their product promotion cycle, making sure your products are aligned with categories and presented in the right way. So a lot of work. So it's you don't want to sign up for a marketplace and find it doesn't work for you. So what are your top strategies for finding the right marketplace that does fit your business?
It's a good question. So scale. Having its own customer type that you can clearly see is a differentiated customer from another retailer's or another marketplace's site. That does mean that you wouldn't go after everybody, and there's a kind of a superset of very large brands and retailers that you'd want to work with. Otherwise, the whole thing becomes a bit cannibalistic and muddled. And as you say, the effort that you put into making sure that, say, Marks and Spencer or Debenhams has got a really great category, and that you're effectively account managing that category on their site for them, it's a lot of work. So what I'm clear about is it's going to be, well, probably a little bit more than a handful, but the number of marketplaces and brands that we'd work with in UK and Europe is going to be a discrete number, but I want to be on the big players who've got an entrenched, loyal customer database. So a good sign of that is if they've got a very large loyalty scheme of their own, and that can manifest itself in a number of different ways. But having, say, a Marks and Spencer's loyalty scheme member, having a Debenhams loyalty scheme member, they're the customers that respond the best and are most likely to shop with that marketplace without really worrying too much about what's happening on somebody else's website. So you can only take it so far, and essentially it's the largest players with the most distinct customer bases is the ideal partner.
So you're talking about Marks and Spencer's and Debenhams as marketplaces, and I'm sure that most consumers don't even know they run marketplaces, and in fact many retailers wouldn't know they run marketplaces. Where do you go to find out that these retailers are running marketplaces and that you can actually partner with them?
Sure. Well, keep my eye out on what's been happening. I mean, Marks and Spencer would not call themselves a marketplace right now, but they are a multi-branded website, and you can see over the last couple of years what's been happening to consolidation. So Boohoo have bought Debenhams. We worked with Debenhams pre-Boohoo, but Boohoo have obviously been on that acquisition trail. ASOS is another one that's very acquisitive. They've also got a marketplace. Next is another one that's got its own marketplace. Sprint is part of JD, and you can see that JD is very acquisitive and hasn't yet got what you call a marketplace, but you can see that that's where a lot of these players are investing. So Ukes, who we're currently talking to, we're going to go live with them shortly. They've just launched a marketplace in the EU, and they'll follow that up globally. And so keeping your eye on retail trends. I mean, it's a very well reported sector, so it's quite easy to see who's doing what. And when you get in conversations with them, you can see where they're at in terms of their technology side of it. So all the retailers on the right, we're not quite working with all of these yet. All those retailers on the right, to an extent, they're looking at their technical architecture and thinking, what do I do to make sure that I can be a multi-brand business, and in doing that I can give them the Marks and Spencer's promise, for example, in terms of delivery, returns, fulfillment, customer care, customer service. So you need to understand where they're at on their customer journey, and they're all at slightly different stages. But A, it's quite well publicised, but B, you do have to go then talk to them about it.
And if I can just bring Emma in for a minute, because Emma, on the Miracle side, I know you've got the Miracle Connect platform to help match marketplaces with retailers. Can you just tell us a little bit about that for when someone is looking for new marketplace opportunities, serious ones that are going to work for them? But that does mean that they're kind of harder to find, and it's going to take some integration time.
Sure. So one of the challenges, as we've discussed, is how do sellers find the right marketplaces to work with, that they can partner with, that will best fit their business? Because you don't want to be on every marketplace, but you want to make sure that you're finding the best ones and you have a way of being able to scale that business development piece. And that's why Miracle created Miracle Connect. So Miracle Connect is a place where sellers and marketplaces can come together and find each other. So if I'm in Robin's shoes and I'm looking for the marketplaces that have the right kind of traffic, the kind of customer database that I'm looking for, I can add different filters and search criteria in Miracle Connect, and I can find a list of those marketplaces, and I can very easily send to them a request to start a conversation, start talking. And once that conversation starts, it's very easy to start the onboarding process. So the administration of opening a shop account and all of the magical stuff that goes on in the background that enables you to kind of easily and streamline that onboarding of your products and all of your business data to be able to start showcasing your assortment on the retailers' marketplaces front end. So that's, at the moment, that's kind of the core proposition of Miracle Connect, to really facilitate that networking and really streamline the kind of knocking on door process, which it has been very time consuming in the past. And this year, and as we've already started doing it last year as well, we're adding more and more functionality and features to the platform to really enhance the onboarding process. So speeding up the time to value for both the seller and the marketplace operator as well. So we're constantly trying to find ways to improve the end-to-end experience for sellers and for operators. And we're really focusing on building that out for enterprise marketplaces in Miracle Connect.
Fantastic. Now, I want to jump on something else which you've kind of already alluded to, Robin, which is tailoring your assortment for each marketplace. Now, I know you've got all of the top watch brands on your website, but how do you choose which brands and which subset within those brands is the right assortment for a marketplace? Because I know what you're not going to do is just like chuck every SKU you've got on a marketplace. So how do you go about tailoring that assortment to really curate it and make sure it's going to appeal for a Marks and Spencer's customers versus a Debenhams customer, for example? And is it about the customer, or is it more about the brand relationships and the brands that are going to work and resonate with the audience?
Yeah, it's a few different things. Customer is obviously really important. Who is that marketplace as a retailer's core customer in terms of gender split, age, what's the gift, what's the mission? When are those people coming to that site? What do they expect to see? From a brand point of view, there's a price element to it in terms of what's the affordability of the proposition. From a brand point of view, there's what's the relevant adjacencies. What else am I being listed up against, both within the category but also across the categories? So you can then narrow down from us. We got over 10,000 choices, but we can narrow that right down to a sort of bespoke, if you like, sort of succinct range, which you'd probably get going with. So M&S, we're currently not running what I'd call sort of dropship model through a marketplace integrator like Miracle. So we have to send stock to their warehouse. So we're constrained. The biggest constraint with M&S at the minute is their warehouse, because it's only so big. So we can only send so much stock to it. So that limits the number of SKUs that we can put on the site. So we have to be really careful, I suppose, about what goes on as a kind of little subset. With Debenhams, because we're working with consolidators like Miracle, we've got over 3,000 SKUs, which is a bit more of a representative range across the brands, which fits with them. But in terms of what's the best seller on a Debenhams site, it's very different to what's the best seller on my site, on the Watch Shop site, and it's very different to what's the best sellers on the M&S site, which hopefully shows you that we've been able to curate the brands and the offer to that particular marketplace's customer.
And is the curation done more on a brand basis, or do you have other attributes like maybe price point? Is there one site that anything over sort of a £100 watch won't sell, and another site that watches up to £1,000 or more will sell? Or is it more on sort of lifestyle choices that on some sites you've got maybe a younger audience looking for brighter, trendier watches, whereas on another site you've got an older audience that are looking for more collectible watches? How do you actually look at what's going to work for that platform?
Yeah, it's very good. That's a very good answer to your question. All of those, particularly around what is the mission. So a big one with our own site and our partner sites is this a self? Are you buying for yourself, or are you buying for somebody else? So a lot of the Watch Shop sites traffic is a gifting mission. So we're quite peaky in terms of October, November, December. But if you look at Debenhams or M&S, it's less so. So that customers probably more buying for themselves as opposed to for somebody else. So it's probably more of a lifestyle thing then, in terms of it's a fashion purchase or it's a fitness purchase. And then within that, you'd obviously look at the overall site intention. So when we start working with JD Sports, clearly, and the outdoors businesses there, clearly it's going to be more around smart and connected product as opposed to fashion and less sort of tech orientated stuff. So there's 3 or 4 big sort of views that you put on it, which you articulated pretty well there.
Fantastic. And I'd just like to remind everyone listening, if you've got any questions for Robin, or indeed for Emma, on how to trade on enterprise marketplaces, decide which ones to sell on, or any questions about assortment, you'll find that there's a button just below your screen where you can actually submit questions, and we'll try and answer a few of those questions at the end of the session. But Robin, I want to come back to you now and talk about 2022. We've obviously had a very turbulent couple of years with, well, first of all, there was Brexit, and then that was quickly forgotten as the pandemic came along. But actually, we still got the tail ends of Brexit still impacting supply chains. And indeed, yeah, I know you've got European sites as well, so there must be a complication there. But how important are marketplaces for your business in 2022? And how are you aiming to grow despite all of the challenges we've had over the last couple of years?
Sure. So if you look at it to top level, and you saw on the previous graph, there's no doubt that marketplaces are showing the most growth structurally. So if you're not part of that, then you're not going to grow as quickly as you could do. So I do need to be on third-party retailers and marketplaces. So the Miracle partnership is pretty important for that. And my hope is that Miracle do a good job at selling to all of my potential clients, and that therefore I have a very easy integration. And that's one of that is. I mean, this is a I'm not blowing smoke. This is a factual thing for us. We've got our own tech team, which has been very important for us, and we were able to do bespoke integrations to the likes of M&S and originally to Watches of Switzerland. But it's a lot of work, and if you can find the right international integration partner, it's a hell of a lot easier, because then it's just more of a turnkey solution. All you need to do is product mapping. So I'd looking at my targets. So who am I not on that I'd like to be on? First and foremost, I'm thinking, is that going to extend my franchise? Can I credibly go to that marketplace and retailer and say, you're not well represented in my category, I can do a better job? And also, I'm not going to overlap too much with your competitors, so we can do a selective distribution there, which is going to work for you. I can do it pretty quickly because I've got my own tech team, and you're a integration partner, so that works really easily, which is where something like Miracle comes in. Are you in my? From a customer point of view, can I give you a Amazon equivalent or better fulfillment service? So can I do next day, same day? So have I added in what I need to do in the UK to do that? And then we've opened an EU fulfillment centre, so I can also do that in the EU. So do I tick all those boxes when I go and approach a third-party retailer to say, I can give you a market leading category and give you an Amazon beating customer service, or at least an Amazon equivalent customer service? So I've got a pre-qualification grid, if you like, and then that helps me to narrow down who my primary targets are that I want to work with, and I think would want to work with us. And so that's what's in my pipeline for 2022. So we're in conversations with some more UK and EU retailers and marketplaces. So getting onto those, and in particular doing integration with JD, so that we can be a global presence for them in that category, is where our growth. That's where most of our growth is going to come from. It's going to come from third-party sites.
That's really interesting. And talking of the Miracle integrations, Emma, can I come back to you? Can you tell us a little bit more about Miracle, how the integrations work, and why it makes Robin's life so much easier if he's working with a Miracle partner as opposed to doing a bespoke integration?
Sure. So the core of the Miracle platform is meant to be at the core of it is agility. We want to make the experience for seller onboarding as easy as possible, regardless of that seller's technical capabilities or experience. So if you're like WhatsApp and you have very advanced technical capabilities, you can build an API integration and bespoke integrations for each platform. We have APIs for you to be able to do that. If you're less experienced, or you don't want to build something before trying out whether that marketplace works for you, there are a variety of other options. So we have a product mapping wizard, which enables easier onboarding and the mapping of your products to the marketplace's product taxonomy. We have a way of uploading products through a CSV file, FTP. You can even do things manually if you wish, one by one. Like, there's a whole host of different methods to enable seller onboarding. And there's more and more tools that we're adding, not just within the core Miracle platform, but also within Miracle Connect, to really enhance and streamline the onboarding process. Because we know that it's that onboarding piece that really is the bottleneck that slows down the process to selling on multiple marketplaces, because it can be a bit time consuming, it can be quite frustrating and challenging. So our focus at Miracles, and especially within Miracle Connect, is to really enhance that experience. And this year already, we've launched a few features to support that, and with many more to come throughout the year. But right now, we recently launched a couple of weeks ago our catalog matching feature. So essentially, a seller can come along with their product IDs, their barcodes, upload those into Miracle Connect, and see how much of a percentage overlap they have from their catalog to an operator's catalog. So you can upload your file and say, well, great, I've got an 80% match with this marketplace. I can almost instantly create my offers with them. So no tricky product creation, just mapping your price information and your stock, and off you go. So we're finding different ways to really speed up this process and remove a lot of the friction. In a couple of weeks, we'll be launching a very exciting feature, which is already partially been released, which is our customer care dashboard. So all of the customer care messages that a seller needs to respond to across multiple marketplaces, instead of logging into each back office and doing it manually, it's all centralized within Miracle Connect. So we're really trying to focus on removing inefficiencies from the process of onboarding to and managing multiple marketplaces to enhance the experience for our sellers. And then, of course, really improve the time to value and overall experience for our operators as well. Whatever helps our sellers helps our operators. So it's a win-win for everyone. And it's really the core focus of Miracle Connect as we're going through 2022.
Fantastic. So a really good reason for looking at Miracle is not just because there's some cute tech that can help you manage one marketplace, but it's almost a network of marketplaces where retailers can look for marketplaces and marketplaces can match with retailers to actually make sure that there's a robust relationship that's going to work before you invest all of the time and money.
Yeah.
And you mentioned something else there as well, which is about the retailer or the marketplace's customers. And Robin, this is probably a question for you. How can you ensure a strong customer experience when you are kind of working remote, almost sort of through an intermediary, and at the same time you're trying to match their standards? You talked about sort of the Amazon type service, there's next day, same day, etc. But what about customer service as well, for warranties, repairs, returns, exchanges? How do you manage that strong customer experience when you're effectively, you've handed over control of the sale to another retailer?
No, it's a really good question. I think first thing to emphasize is that we appoint account managers for each one of our retailers and brands, who's responsible for the performance of that site, but not just across sales, but also customer satisfaction, both of that marketplace's customer, but also the marketplace itself. Are they happy with us? So we do have a very transparent weekly, monthly, annual calendar with them in terms of what we're going to be doing. And we have weekly sessions with them to track progress. So we're always pretty aware of at any one point in time as to how things really are. And then in terms of how you choose to work with us, there are some options. So we can offer a sort of a white glove service, if you like, which is it's what shop at the retailer, and it's very clear to the customer throughout the journey that it's what shop at the retailer or marketplace. And then in all the documentation, communications, post-purchase, customer service, returns, etc., we can do all of that, and we can flag to the customer it's us doing it. Or we can make it that retailer or that brand, and we'll white label it. So we're still doing it all, but in our warehouse, there's a separate production line, if you like, for that marketplace. And everything is badged, everything is labelled as if it's that marketplace, not us. We can put a dedicated customer service line into our customer service team, which is that marketplace or retailer's line. So it feels, for all intents and purposes, you're completely dealing with that brand or retailer, not us. So we can do it either way.
That's really interesting. How does it differ between marketplaces? And I'm thinking at one end you've got the kind of eBay experience or the Amazon experience where the marketplace might intermediate, but if there's a problem and they need a return or they need customer support or warranty, the marketplace is in most situations going to pass it back to you, as opposed to maybe Marks and Spencer's, where if I've bought from what shop at Marks and Spencer's, I'm going to ring Marks and Spencer's and speak to one of their customer care team first of all. Do the retailers pass the customer to you, or do they take first line queries?
Honestly, it depends. It varies. So it depends what they want. So with M&S, if they want to deal with the customer service and they want to handle the returns, we'll facilitate that. So it's a mixed model across the piece. So we fit in with what that brand or marketplace want their customer experience to be, and it is a bit of a mix across the different customer types.
And what advice would you give another retailer looking to sell on enterprise marketplaces, where they might be looking at Debenhams or Next or JD when they open their marketplace, or Marks and Spencer's, or any number of other marketplaces. Is it kind of a negotiation with the marketplace when you open an account, or do they already have set procedures and you have to comply with them?
Well, I think first of all, you need to work out, should you be on that marketplace? Is it a good fit? And do you add something extra which they haven't currently got? So you need to go in with a compelling sales proposition to that marketplace to say, you should work with us, and this is why. So unless you can, and at the end of the day, it comes down, can you add incremental sales and growth that we wouldn't otherwise get if we work with you? So you need to be very clear about what your business case is and work that through and be credible about it, because that's then going to be your first year numbers that you're going to have to hit with that marketplace. And then once you work through what you can add, you can then have a negotiation and discussion about what marketplace fees should be, etc., and what's a fair share of that incremental growth. So you need to be clear you can do that first and foremost. I think then in terms of how you're going to work with them, what is the integration going to look like? So do you have your own technical capability to do that? Can you get some help from Lots of Miracle to do it, so that you don't have to have to put so much focus on the technical integration? But I say if you don't have your tech team, it's going to be a bit tricky. So it's back to that checklist, I think, of here's my plan, here's the other websites I think I could be on. How do I narrow that down to who my priorities? What can I add to that customer offer? And what do I need to be able to do to work with them? So am I a Miracle partner? If they're a Miracle partner, it's really easy. If I'm a Miracle, they're not, are they going to get on it in the near future? Which is the case with quite a few of the people that we're talking to. Okay, I'll wait till they are then, because then I'll be able to step on board. If you have no technical capability at all, then I think you should think about getting it, because otherwise you're not going to be able to get on board with being part of a marketplace in the way they were describing, so that you can be the dropship model. Part of the efficiency here, by the way, that everybody's going for is one of the reasons why it's attractive for a Debenhams to work with us is that, obviously we do all the buying, we hold all the stock, we take all the balance sheet risk. All the marketplace needs to do is to give us access to their traffic, and we'll convert it for them, and we'll do everything else. So that's why it's such a good service model for the marketplace. So can you do that? Do you have the capability to be able to hold the stock yourself and drop ship to that customer through the relevant technical integration? And without that, I think it's very hard to get on board with marketplaces. I've got a few questions actually.
Yeah, we've got some customer questions coming in, and first one I really like is, Robin, why are you not a marketplace yourself?
Yeah, that's a good question actually. To which I say we are sort of a marketplace. So we're a multiple brand site. So we've got mini brand rooms for each of the brands that we work with. So we do choose who to work with, and it's more of a kind of wholesale retail model. But we're very careful to then give our brands what we call kind of a gold brand treatment on our site. So we use all their assets, we use all the collateral. We give them a kind of brand home on our site. And to that, if you look at this from a customer point of view, I'd say it looks a bit like a brand marketplace. Do we have third-party sellers on our site? No, we don't. Why am I not doing that just yet? I might do it actually. Why I'm not doing it just yet is scale and volume. So whilst I have a relatively large site, 22 million visits a year, it's not anything like the same size as the retailers on the right-hand side of that graph there. So in terms of how do I get scale quickly, it's going to be working with other marketplaces rather than being a marketplace in my own right. I wouldn't rule it out. And I think you see what Jules are doing, which I really respect, by the way. So it's on my radar screen, but not in the next 6 months.
Yeah. And then another question that's come from an attendee is, how easy is it to maintain customer relationships on an enterprise marketplace?
Yeah, I think it's not my customer.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on that earlier, that it's not your customer.
Yeah.
And we spoke about how you work with the marketplace to align with their customer service. An interesting question. What have you found are the key benefits and the most rewarding aspects of launching on an enterprise marketplace? And I'm quite interested in this as well. Is it a scale thing where you can expand to many more customers in a short space of time compared to trying to attract them to your 22 million that already visit your website? Is it highly profitable? Is there less acquisition costs? Obviously there are fees to pay, but someone else is paying for all the marketing. And in a really interesting question, do you get more profit from overall selling a watch on your platform or selling a watch on a marketplace platform, or is it roughly the numbers work out the same?
Yeah, good questions. Scale first and foremost. In terms of growing market share and step change you get, working with other big retailers is the way to do it, because I'm able to convert their traffic and their customer, and they're just a lot bigger than me. So it's first and foremost, it's a market share play. It allows me to have a more strategic conversation with my brand partners. So when I go in to buy product, I'm not just buying it for my website, I'm buying it for everybody else's website as well. So that's helpful in having more clout with brand partners, but also helping them to make their businesses more efficient as well. So rather than having to deal with multiple different third parties, trying to find multiple websites and find lots of different customers, if they come through me, I'm more of a one-stop shop, so it works for the brands too. So we've become more important partners for each other. Then in terms of the economics of it, I don't wish to fudge it, but it really depends. And I know when we in our prelim chat, we had a bit of a chat about value, etc. But are you what I call a full price marketplace? Are you more of a discounted marketplace? And increasingly, what you can see is the brands want to work on a full price model, and obviously that's got an implication for margin and then the overall profitability of the site. I like to be relatively transparent with my partners and have a fair share of that. And in terms of the mix between full price sale products, etc., overall, I'm not saying this is always the case, by the way, but I would ideally look to be relatively ambivalent about which site it sells on, because I've worked through the economics properly in terms of my own model and their model, which I think if I hadn't done that, would be a bit of a problem.
Fantastic. And we are coming up against time. And before we wrap up, I've got one really important question to ask both you, Robin, and Emma from different sides. Robin, from your perspective, what have you found that makes you a huge benefit to marketplaces? And more importantly, what have you come up against that's been a blocker that stops you going on a marketplace or delayed you going on a marketplace? And then Emma, from your point of view, from the marketplace, the same kind of question: what makes a good supplier? What problems do the marketplaces have that stop them taking on a fantastic supplier, or delay taking on one? What do the marketplaces have to fix? So first of all, Robin, as a retailer, for those watching today, what are the top things they need to do to make themselves attractive to a marketplace?
I think our biggest strategic advantage is that we are a one-stop shop. So you don't, if you work with us, you don't need to go to anybody else in the category. We've got all the brands, we've got all the ranges, we've got all the brand relationships. We are the specialist in this category. So there is no need to work with anybody else in this category if you work with us. That's the most attractive thing for a third-party marketplace. In terms of what makes others difficult to deal with is if they're not set up to do it. So we've had a number of discussions with people who are, some are more and some are less advanced. If you're already set up to do it, and if you're a Miracle partner, it's really easy. If you haven't started to think about how you work as a marketplace with third-party retailers, and they're at the beginning of their strategic and technical journey to get there, that's a longer conversation.
Thanks. And Emma, from your perspective, working with the marketplaces, what do they need to do? What are the top things that can stop them integrating with the best supplier out there?
Well, ultimately, it's about building partnerships. Successful marketplace operators build strong partnerships with the sellers that they work with. And part of that is treating your sellers and your seller base as a different type of customer. So ensuring that a strong experience for your sellers when you're working together. So offering them favorable terms of service, giving them flexibility in the way that they want to integrate with you, and offering tools that enable an easier onboarding process and ongoing management process. So it's for the operator, it's really key to ensure you can offer really good account management and support. Like, enterprise marketplaces aren't like some of the more dominant players where it can feel like from the seller side, you're talking to a bit of a brick wall or it's a bit of a black box. It's far more about having an open partnership that benefits both sides. So if you as an operator have very clear processes, very clear ways of working, and offer a range of different ways to help a seller on board to you, as we offer for the sellers that work with Miracle marketplaces, it should be a very smooth way of working and a way to build a very strong partnership. So I think that's really the key differentiation for enterprise marketplaces and Miracle powered marketplaces. Our operators aren't just looking to, work with hundreds of thousands of sellers and just get them, get everything live, get it on. It's more about curation and building mutually beneficial partnerships so that it's not just the marketplace that wins, but the seller that wins as well, so that everyone's business grows together.
Fantastic. Emma and Robin, especially, I want to thank you both for your time today. It's been a fascinating discussion. And just quickly, Emma, if someone wants to get in touch with Miracle, find out how to connect with marketplaces, or if they're a marketplace and they want to connect with retailers, where do they go to find out more?
They can go to our website. So just Google Miracle and we'll pop right up. Or if anyone has any sellers, especially have questions around Miracle Connect or getting in touch with certain marketplaces, you can find me on LinkedIn and I can direct anyone to the specific people that can help. But yes, very keen for anyone who's interested to learn more. We're an open book, so do feel free to get in touch.
Fantastic. We are unfortunately out of time, so we're going to have to wrap up here. But Emma, thank you so much. And Robin, a huge thank you to you for sharing your expertise and insights today. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Chris. It's very kind of you.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Robin.
Thank you.